Ag Commission meeting. And I will call this meeting to order at 12:23. Looks like on January 15th, 2025. And at this time, we have Spanish interpreters joining us virtually today. And they will provide a brief introduction before I continue.
Great. Thank you, Simon. Hi, everyone. You can hear my audio okay, hopefully. Just give me a thumbs up. Great. So Diego Pons here again with the CLC. I'm here with my colleague, Andrea. We'll keep providing language interpretation, English and Spanish. So after I give the instructions, you'll see that globe icon as usual is going to appear there in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer screen. It'll say interpretation. You select that globe icon when it appears and you choose your preferred language. And if you're joining the meeting on your cell phone or tablet, you'll instead be looking for the More button or the three dots button to select your preferred language this other way. As always, if you're not fully bilingual, we strongly encourage you to select your preferred language so you can listen to the interpretation in case anyone were to speak up in Spanish. And if you're bilingual, just feel free to listen to everyone in their original language and don't select any language channel. That way you don't have to worry about going back and forth with language channels. As always, just please make sure you're speaking at a conversational pace and please make sure you don't pick up your reading speed. Thank you so much for that. Buenas tardes a todos y a todas. Soy Diego Pons. Estoy aquí con mi colega Andrea de parte del COC. Continuaremos utilizando la interpretación simultánea aquí en Zoom en inglés y en español. Cuando termine de dar esas instrucciones, se activa la interpretación. En ese momento va a aparecer el icono del globo de la Tierra que dirá interpretación ahí abajo en la derecha de su pantalla. Por favor, asegúrese de elegir ese icono globo de la Tierra y por favor seleccione su idioma preferido. Y si hoy usted está asistiendo a la reunión en su celular o en su tableta, busque por favor la opción que dice More, M-O-R-E, lo cual quiere decir más en inglés, o el botón de 3 puntos para que pueda elegir su idioma preferido de esa otra manera en uno de esos dos dispositivos. Si usted no es completamente bilingüe, le aconsejaremos que por favor elija su idioma preferido para que pueda utilizar la interpretación cuando alguien está hablando en el otro idioma. Y si tienen alguna pregunta, déjenos saber por el chat. Muchas gracias. Ready.
Thank you, Diego. Okay, Ag Commission members, I will go down the roll call. When I call your name, please say present. If you have joined virtually, please unmute yourself and say present. Jeff McCullough,
Present.
Catherine Bedell, David Block, Roberto Mesa,
Present.
Elena Miller Turculi, Harrison Top, Nick Trainer, Colleen Pepler.
Present.
Okay, thank you. As we move forward, thank you all for joining today's Ag Commission meeting. We will do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation. Today's meeting is being recorded and can be viewed online on CDA's YouTube channel. Before we proceed, I want to review some guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Each time you speak, please identify yourself. And we will move forward here to approval of the meeting agenda. Will there be any changes there? Okay.
Oops, sorry, Simon, I was on mute. We're good.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion needed before the vote? May I have would like a motion?
I move we approve today's meeting agenda. Jeff McCullough.
Thank you, Jeff. Do I have a second?
Hi, Simon. This is Roberto. I second.
Thank you, Roberto. At this time, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. None seen, carried. Next, we'll move into the approval of the meeting minutes. If I can have a motion.
Simon, this is Colleen. I move that we approve the December meeting minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Simon, this is Jeff McCullough. I'll second that.
All right. Motion made by Colleen, second by Jeff. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed, same sign. None seen, motion carried. Okay, we'll move on to the public comment. Is there any? Public
Simon, I
comments?
don't see any public comments at this time.
Okay, moving on, commissioners update. Hello, Kate.
Hi there, Simon. Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. You'll see Hollis and Jordan and I are pretty dressed up for our normal Ag Commission meetings, and we're actually down at the Capitol today. We just finished our annual SMART Act hearing, which is required by statute for all state agencies to update the legislature on our work in the prior year, our advancement toward our WIGs, and other work that's going on. So we just got out of a really good discussion today. So updates from me are really going to focus around a lot of what's going on in the animal health division under Dr. Maggie Baldwin. Dr. Baldwin will be joining us at an upcoming meeting. So what I tell you all here today, just know that you're obviously reach out anytime with follow-up questions on all the foreign animal disease stuff we've got going on, but we will have Maggie join just given how much there is moving in her realm. So for starters, high path avian influenza, we continue to monitor kind of the outbreak across the country. We are in our third year, just as a reminder, because it kind of seems like it's been going on forever, and that's why, because it kind of has in the scope of outbreaks. As of today, and as of about at least a month, if not longer ago, all of our 64 dairies, commercial dairies that tested positive for high path AI have been released from quarantine. That is a very good sign. We have continued our mandatory weekly bulk tank testing of commercial dairies in the state. We're looking at potentially lightening that up since we are quarantine free in the state, and part of sort of the national plan for testing is when you're disease-free through a testing program to then lighten the protocol. So we're looking at that now, and we'll probably have further updates for you all by our next meeting, if not before. California, of course, has been having a real tough time in both poultry and dairy with their outbreak. And Dr. Baldwin has been a point of contact for their veterinary team out there. So we continue to be in a position where we can support other states, especially given that Colorado took early action in mandating the weekly bulk tank testing, which again, we did in partnership with the poultry and dairy industries. We continue to have our joint industry meetings. We have been meeting weekly. I think we might be loosening that up a little bit too, just to give people some of their time back. But that has been really good so that, poultry and dairy can really understand what high path means to the other industry and realize that we really are all in this together, and the decisions we make in one sector really impact the other one. So that's a big focus right now, is just kind of seeing what's going on across the country, continuing to monitor here. I want to talk a little bit about eggs today. You've probably seen egg prices on the shelves have gone very high. And we've also seen some retail stores that are putting purchase restrictions, like the number of cartons that you can buy in a given shopping outing. So I just want to lay out kind of the landscape of what's going on in the egg universe that may be contributing to what we're seeing out there on the retail side. Third year of high path avian influenza. Over the course of that time, since February 2022, 130 million domestic birds in commercial facilities have been impacted. So just thinking about the impact to supply. In Colorado, our peak outbreak, about 3.3 million birds in three of our largest facilities, occurred in July of this past year, meaning that those producers are still in the time period of restocking, because it takes many months to do everything that we have to do when a facility is hit. So just know there's a lag time that is also happening in California. California's outbreak has happened later, November, December. So again, seeing lag time time there as those facilities deal with high path. We've been in close conversation with a lot of our big retailers in Colorado, and from what we've heard, they're facing challenges in their supply chain due to fires in facilities. We've had impacts to facilities from the hurricanes in the southeast, so natural disasters are putting pressure on the supply chain. And then just holiday demand with eggs, folks staying home, doing a lot of baking. We see far more increase in egg demand during the holidays. That all coincided with the January 1 timeline for fully cage-free here in Colorado under state statute. Now, that is a law that's been in effect. It was signed in 2020. So the cage-free requirements in Colorado have been 4 years in the making. We have over 1,000 producers in Colorado and across the country who are ready to do business in Colorado and in cage-free states. About 74 certified distributors who are ready to do the same. So a lot of investment has gone into this work through industry, from the producer, distributor to the retailers. We also know there's a crunch right now in supply and in inventory because of high path AI. So we're continuing to work alongside retailers, producers, folks who may legitimately be struggling in their supply chain to make sure shelves are stocked and consumers are getting what they need. We know it's tough on consumers right now, so we're very sensitive to that. We're also sensitive to the investments that our farmers have made over the last many years to become compliant with not just Colorado's law, but what we're seeing change across the country as well. So maybe I'll stop there and see if there's any questions on high path or eggs before I move on to some other items.
Yeah, Kate, this is Jeff McCullough. I was reading about this around the New Year's and had the question of if there's a correlation between producers going cage free and the amount of high path AI incidents that we've had, or if it's just coincidence.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Jeff. Everything I've seen points to coincidence. We see conventional flocks get hit just like cage-free flocks get hit. The virus really doesn't discriminate between what kind of facility the birds are raised in.
Okay, thank you, Kate.
Okay, if no further questions on those two, I'll go on to another riveting topic on foreign animal disease, which is the New World screwworm. I think we updated you all last meeting on this. Just for a refresher, screwworm is a fly. The larva of this fly eats only live flesh, not dead flesh, and that's a big deal for livestock. The screwworm is endemic to South America. And since 1966, the U.S. has eradicated and maintained the eradication on U.S. soil. Part of what we've done is maintaining what we call a northern barrier in partnership with Panama. So we've actually been introducing sterile male screwworm into the environment to, attempt to breed, but then obviously they can't breed, and ideally then the screwworm becomes eradicated. That northern barrier was breached last year, and we've seen screwworm cases moving up through Central America throughout 2024. But the big deal for us right now is that Mexico detected its first cases in late November. They immediately alerted the US. The USDA immediately put a restriction on cattle exports from Mexico into the US, and that restriction remains. So we are continuing to monitor both on the cattle market side and also the disease side. Dr. Baldwin has, as you can imagine, been incredibly proactive on this work and is not taking any of it for granted. So we are exercising around this just like we do on African swine fever, just like we do on foot and mouth disease. On foot and mouth disease, I just want to bring to your attention that Germany did have a detection of FMD last Friday. And Germany has now halted its sales of cattle beyond the EU. So that is another thing that we are monitoring. Just know that we are on it. If you ever have any questions, please reach out. And again, we'll make sure that Maggie joins us in an upcoming meeting and has ample time to go through all of our foreign animal disease work with you all. Any further questions on those other two foreign animal disease items? All right. So next update on wolves. As you all know, for the last many months, I guess since this fiscal year, so just about July, CDA has been partnering with Colorado Parks and Wildlife to support the non-lethal work that's going on across the state to work toward coexistence in our livestock communities with wolf reintroduction. Our team under Wayne East, who's in Maggie's shop, has just done a phenomenal job getting ready for this calving and lambing season and also for this range season, which is really getting ready for the next round of reintroduction of wolves, which of course is not our jurisdiction, but we are here to provide technical assistance, education, outreach, support to our livestock communities across the West Slope. The main updates here, we at CDA in particular are focused on all non-lethal. So we're building a Colorado Range Rider program alongside CPW. That means we have fleshed out, we've filled out our entire staff, which is 3 people. So Dustin Shiflett is our program manager, and then Jesse Lassiter from down in Bayfield and Shelby Nieberger, who's up in Northwest Colorado, will be able to deploy as range riders, be out in the field with livestock producers across the Western Slope, host outreach and education events, and both of them are multi-generational ranchers who are deeply rooted in West Slope communities. So huge assets to our team. I hope you all will get to meet them sooner than later. In addition, Range Rider program will bring on folks, not just state staff, but contractors. So Parks and Wildlife is working to get those contracts finalized. We have our first training for Range Riders beyond state staff taking place at the end of January. And that's going to be really focused on early season. Essentially, we still use the term range rider, but it's home place rider, is another way to put it. Doesn't sound as snazzy, but what do we do, when folks are on private ground during calving? The landscape's different, kind of the needs are different. Making sure we have folks trained and ready. And then we'll do additional trainings for range season starting later in the winter and early spring. So that's a huge focus of ours. We've published best management practices for carcass management. We're issuing $300,000 in grants to local government, extension offices, local stock grower organizations to be able to implement non-lethal tools that make the most sense to them and their communities. And so you'll see a lot of the carcass management work, for example, is going to be taking a lot of the local leadership will be taking the lead on that with support from us and the state. We've held, I think, 7 outreach events across the state. We're supporting livestock producers with site assessments, which are going to be really key in the event of a chronic depredation scenario, as well as just applying non-lethal tools. And then last week, the Parks and Wildlife Commission did vote to deny a petition to delay reintroduction. And so reintroduction is moving forward. And that's a lot of why we are so focused on this, is making sure we're getting resources out to our producers in the field. Any questions on wolves before I wrap up? Hey, lastly, plenty of events going on. And I look forward to seeing many of you out and about. Stock Show, we're there. Our team is there every single day. I was at Citizen of the West. We've got our international markets reception tomorrow night, where we bring in cattle buyers from Mexico and Canada. Next week is the State Conservation Board Conservationist of the Year Award at the rodeo on Wednesday, and lots of events in between. Just know our animal health team, our brands team, our markets team, conservation team are all out there just engaging with folks for the entirety of Stock Show. I'll also be at Colorado Cattlemen's next week and our brand board meeting. So looking forward to that. And then next month, so prior to our next meeting in the Southwest, I'll be in DC for our National Association of State Departments of Ag, or NASDA meeting. Really hoping I get a chance to meet some folks who are part of the next administration. Obviously, Senate confirmation hearings have started this week, so it's a little tough to reach out to folks, but lots of work happening with the transition, and looking forward to making those contacts hopefully when I'm out there next month. So Simon, that's it for me today, unless there are any other questions or comments.
Okay, well, thank you, Kate. There's a lot going on. For sure. Thank you. All right, next we'll move on, if there's no questions for Kate, to Hollis Glenn, and he will be introducing the new Conservation Division Director.
Yeah, One second, we gotta do the switcheroo. All right, thank you, Simon. Yeah, so before my operational update, I would love to, and I'm excited to introduce Evan Cavanis, our new Conservation Service Division Director. Evan has been with us, I think we're coming up on 30 days, and we are so thrilled to have her. She was previous to this, she was the Associate Field Director for National Young Farmers Coalition. She has a world of experience in ag conservation as well as ag leadership. So we couldn't be more thrilled. And she is currently a rancher down in the Bayfield area with her husband and kids. So with that, I am going to invite Evan to unmute and say hello to the Ag Commission. Don't worry, I said all great things about the Ag Commission to Evan. And she can maybe share a little bit more about herself and kind of maybe some vision that she sees going forward with the Conservation Division. Evan?
Wow, thanks so much, Hollis. I'm like feeling really boosted up about myself right now. Hi, some of you are familiar faces. Some of you, it's nice to meet you for the first time. Like Hollis said, I'm Evan. I call the southwest corner of the state home. I run a Hereford cow-calf operation, hay operation, and direct-to-consumer pork alongside my husband down here. And yeah, it just feels like the privilege of my life, honestly, to be in this role already. The priority at the moment is working to get up to speed with all the incredible programs we have to serve our producers in the state and overcome any barriers that are in place at the moment to make these programs approachable and available to folks who should take advantage of them. So I'm really excited to be integrating into my team and getting those things on the ground. And I've got long-term visions too, and excitement about what I can bring and ideas to bring to this group in the future. Especially, you should know, a passion area for me is farmland and ranchland conservation and protection of our working lands in the state. So again, blessed beyond belief to be here. It's nice to meet you all, and I look forward to working together and serving the state together.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Evan. Welcome.
Any questions or anything, comments for Evan? All right, just a lot of welcomes on the chat. Great. Thank you so much, Evan. Really appreciate it. She'll be back a little later on in our show with the Noxious Weed Advisory Committee confirmations. So if it's all right with you, I'll dive into my operational update. Again, kind of go really quick, just because we have a packed schedule here. So just hiring some other key hires that we've had at the department over the last month or in the next coming days. Aside from Evan, is we are excited that we are hiring our assistant state veterinarian, Dr. Erin McGrath, to support Dr. Baldwin and the animal health staff. Dr. McGrath, she has experience as an she has experience as an emergency vet, really doing kind of associate urgent care veterinarian work, currently in Longmont, and previous served as a medical director for another veterinary practice. So the great thing about Dr. McGrath is not only does she have the leadership experience working in a veterinarian setting, but she is no stranger to kind of triage and working on emergency vet issues, something that division has grown accustomed to, unfortunately, over the next few days. So she's going to be a wonderful addition to the team, and she'll be starting next week. And once we get her onboarded for a little bit, we'll make sure that she comes and says hello to the Ag and meets the Ag Commission as well. Two other positions that we are super excited to have on board is our two Ag Worker Services regional specialists. The first one is Ruben Paccio. He is going to be on the Western Slope, and Ricky Garcia, he will be on the Eastern Plains. And these two will be working with Aldo Para on ag workforce support, both for workers and for employers on worker and labor issues. So we're really excited to see not only the great work that Aldo has done over the last year and a half, 2 years by himself, but now we have this great team assembled and we have geographic diversity for this program. So Ruben and Ricky, along with Aldo, they're going to be working and forming essentially regional networks, both Western Plains, Eastern Plains, Western Slope, to support, of people that how do we build networks in those areas to begin to, again, support the workers and the employers on those labor issues. So we're excited to have Ruben and Ricky starting here in the next coming days. A little bit about our onboarding. You all have, we are still working and onboarding with our State Fair General Manager, Andrea Wiesenmeyer. You met her a while ago. She is doing fabulous and really jumping in both feet into the State Fair fire, so to speak, and doing a fabulous job. We're really working closely with her and her staff, as well as the Commissioner's Office, and really how do we continue the vision of the State Fair under her new leadership. She reports to the board. She's accountable to the board. She's accountable to her staff. She's accountable to the Commissioner's Office and this new leader and such a critical, important division. How do we make sure we don't skip a beat as we change leadership? So we're going to be starting and working on some projects to ensure and revision and work with the State Fair Board to vision where the State Fair is going in the next 1 to 2, 3 years. And that includes beginning to work on envisioning what the 150, 250 State Fair in 2026 is going to look like. That's going to be a fun project. We're really excited about kind of starting to think about celebrating Colorado's 150th anniversary at the State Fair. Obviously, the State Fair is going to be a pinnacle, a premier event in that year in our state celebrations. So also, again, working with Evan, getting her onboarded in conservation, and really utilizing and using takeaways from our retreat that we had in October to really get her quickly acclimated and build that team cohesion with the division. As we bring in these new leaders in senior management or even in program managers, bringing people in with different perspectives and ideas and skill sets is wonderful, and it really enhances the department. But we want to make sure that we build a good team around them, particularly when they're coming into a culture and a team that has existed for in some cases years. So really been focusing on that, not just with Andrea and Evan, but with our Division of Animal Welfare. And overall, we're also starting to review our onboarding process and beginning to create an onboarding toolkit, again, because we think that the investment we make and the impression a good onboarding process has with all these hires that we're having really is to the best benefit of the department, because the employees are more able to stick around, and so there's less turnover, and it really sets a great tone for them as well. Finally, I'm going to have Melissa with me here, and if she don't mind, she's going to share her quick screens. Last time I went over briefly the strategic plan that we have, and I said that at the last meeting that we were going to launch it on our website, and sure enough, we just did that. So our strategic plan is now on our public website. I'm going to do a quick navigation here and show a couple little highlights just to hopefully get the Ag Commission members list a little more familiar with navigating through our strategic plan in case you need to refer to it or want to showcase it. And obviously you're going to want to save this as one of your favorite bookmarks for sure. But what you'll do is in our home page, you're going to go to your the home dropdown, and then you're going to go to our CDA strategic initiatives. And here's essentially where you're going to see all the wonderful reports and dashboards, not just with the strategic plan, but also with our wildly important goals, our plans, our dashboards, and even our performance or annual reports. So in this case, for today, we're going to be talking about the strategic plan quick links, and we'll go into the dashboard, and you can look into the dashboard and really want to just point out, you can read the plan There's a link to the actual narrative plan, but then going into the dashboard, really, we kind of really want to showcase our success reel. Currently, right now, we are at 9 completed strategic actions for this fiscal year. And you can see that there are post-action summary reports. So once we complete a strategic actions, the owners of that, the staff that work on that actions, they write a very an abbreviated report to show what was that impact of the action that we set out to do and the objective that it's going to achieve. And so these are available to the public so everyone can see how we're doing and the impact that we're doing, including, I may add the last one at the bottom, which is to host 4 town halls, public forums, and other engagement events by the Colorado Ag Commission. Hey, that's us. So you can read all about that and all the four town halls that we did, which again is statutory requirement. So the public will be able to see in the engagement that you all have done, whether it was at Rye or in Denver or in Palisade. So, we're happy to also share these reports as we complete these strategic actions. Those reports are drafted, they're going to be public documents. And so as that happens, we'll include them in your staff packet, and I will just touch on some highlights from the accomplishments in the various board meetings as they come up. And then finally, just scrolling down for navigating, just pointing out 2 more quick bits of information. This is these are really good websites too. If you remember, or if you can scroll down just a little further, thank you, Melissa. We have the 5 directions, all of our work, because everything we do at CDA is so diverse: people, community, market, productivity, animal health, environment, internal operations. You can click on these directional overviews if you really want to get a good high overview look in each direction of what are those objectives that we're looking for, what are the strategic actions that we're looking at, what's the progress, when is it going to be done, and what's the completion progress kind of bar graph there, so, or the status. So you can see, as in, let's take that first one. Our first path is agricultural workforce support. Hey, that's great. We were just talking about, we just hired our 2 new staff. Our strategic action is to create those regional networks, as I mentioned a minute ago. So we're in process there. It'll be completed here in the next 4 months or 6 months. So you can begin to see, and so not only the Ag Commission can see this and use this as a tool if someone is interested about a topic and wants to know what CDA is doing, but it also provides the general public an ability to come in real time to be able to see kind of the work that we're doing. So with that, I'm going to stop there, and I'm happy to answer any questions about strategic plans or any of the new staff.
Thank you, Hollis. Is there any questions or comments for Hollis?
Hollis, this is Colleen. And I just want to tell you, as a visual learner, I appreciate all the graphs and the design of it and how to see the growth and everything. So I think what you're displaying and what you guys are presenting is excellent.
All right. Thank you. I can hear Simon.
No, I agree with Colleen. Thank you, Hollis. There's a lot of work that's being done and is looking forward. A lot to be done, but it's good. Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a comment, Hollis. This is awesome. We're kind of going through our strategic plan here at the warehouse, and I'm definitely going to be using this as a template.
Absolutely. Happy to help. Happy to share.
Okay. Thank you, Hollis.
It looks like,
Wait,
oh, no, we're good. Thank you.
okay. There's no other questions for Hollis? Okay. Thank you, Amira. Moving forward here, we'll move into Jordan and the legislative policy and budget updates.
Thank you, Simon, and
Hello, Jordan.
good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, thanks. So the legislative session started last Wednesday, and started with quite a bang. There was about 130 bills introduced on the first day. It was also kind of an exciting time because close to a quarter of the legislators are new this year, and so there's a lot of new faces around the Capitol. So it's been really great to get to meet a lot of new folks that are representing different areas of Colorado. Since we are just at the beginning of the session, the department doesn't have any official position on bills yet. We are still waiting through all of those bills that have been introduced, looking at them, working with our staff to take a look at those as well. And so we'll likely start developing positions on some bills here in the next week or so. Again, kind of just as a general reminder for Ag Commission, as we move through the legislative session, we really do value your input on legislation that is proposed. However, we also recognize that your meeting schedule doesn't align well with the chaotic and quick nature of the legislative session. So at these monthly meetings, I will do my best to provide you updates on where things are at and what's moving forward, what the department is working on. And then just like in years past, after this meeting, we'll share out a link that has a list of all the bills that we're kind of tracking and paying attention to as well. So in between those monthly meetings, if there are policies that you are individually interested in, have concerns about, really like or support, please reach out to me directly one-on-one, and I can have that conversation with you, and we'll take that input from you individually as we are kind of doing our analysis here within the department on those items. And then again, encourage you to bring up any thoughts you have at the Ag Commission meetings on a monthly basis as well. So again, I really do encourage you to reach out to me directly. Again, in the follow-up communications to this meeting, we'll make sure that you have my email and cell phone number as well, so you can get a hold of me. Again, lots going on. We had our SMART Act hearing today that went really well. I really enjoy those. I think it's a great opportunity to showcase all of the work that's being done in the department by all of our fantastic staff, and really show the legislature why these programs that they have approved are important and why the funding for them is also
Jordan, we're losing you.
We have a bit about our budget.
Jordan, can you hear us?
And first thing that I want to mention is the department has. This is for community. Last hi everybody. I'm the new Kate Greenberg. My computer froze, so let me know. Can somebody let me know where I cut out?
I would say maybe a minute ago.
Okay. Well, I was just going to give kind of an update on some new items in our budget. So again, talked with all of you at previous meetings about our budget request for the upcoming year. We have a couple of updates to that came out of the governor's January 2nd budget letter to the Joint Budget Committee. The first is a supplemental budget request related to our community food access program. It's actually a budget neutral request. When that program was refinanced from federal funds to state funds last year, the appropriation clause in that bill didn't match the statutory authority in the program. So the appropriations clause only gave us spending authority through 2024, while the statute actually says we have to obligate funds by 2024 and expend them by 2026. So we're essentially in progress. Essentially asking for a technical fix. Sorry, more technical difficulties. So we're essentially asking for a technical fix on the appropriations clause.
We just need 1 second to turn off the other device.
No problem.
Sorry about that. So it's essentially a technical fix that we're asking for there. Additionally, during our JBC presentation, the staff from the JBC made some recommendations around additional budget cuts on budget balancing measures for the department. The governor's office and the department has agreed with 4 of those kind of recommendations that came out of the JBC. The first one of those is a one-time $620,000 transfer from the Ag Management Fund to the general fund. In doing our analysis internally, we do have kind of sufficient revenue within the AMF cash fund to continue to support all the programs that we are supporting through with that fund with this one-time cut. So that shouldn't have an impact on our kind of operations and the programs that are supported through that. The next one is another one-time transfer of $250,000 out of the diseased livestock indemnity cash fund to the general fund. There's currently about $730,000 in that fund. This fund is used primarily to pay indemnity payments when the federal government doesn't step in and pay those for livestock producers. Over the past 7 years, we've made an average payment out of that fund of a little over $10,000 per year. And in that same time, the fund has grown by about $233,000. So this one-time transfer of $250,000 out of that fund should not affect our operations and ability to continue to make those small indemnity payments in those cases where the federal government isn't covering those. The next one is to eliminate the rodent control cash fund. This is a cash fund that is not utilized anymore, but has a remaining balance of about $26,000 in it. The department actually asked the Joint Budget Committee to eliminate this 2 years ago. They decided not to at that time because running a bill to get $26,000 wasn't worth their time then, but it is now. So they're going to be sweeping that fund this year. And then the last one is a one-time cut to our Cervidae disease cash fund of $20,000. Again, this is another indemnity cash fund. There's currently a balance of $225,000 in that cash fund. Over the last 7 fiscal years, we've made an average payment out of that fund of $1,500. So and it's also grown by about $20,000. So a one-time transfer of that $20,000 interest earnings, again, shouldn't impact our ability to continue payments through that fund either. The last item that I want to mention doesn't show up in the department's budget items. It actually shows up through the Department of Personnel and Administration. But we have worked with that department as well as Joint Budget Committee staff to realign how we allocate our health, life, and dental expenses for federal funded positions. And so in doing that and kind of moving some of those costs from state general funds onto that federal funding, we are able to save about $1.1 million in general fund dollars this fiscal year. And then an additional $633,000 in general fund going forward. So all of these items are the department really working collaboratively with the governor's office and the Joint Budget Committee, trying to figure out ways that we can help fill the roughly $1 billion budget shortfall that we're facing, while really focusing on maintaining kind of the services that are provided by the department, supporting our staff through all of this. And so, again, just want to appreciate Jen Hughes, our budget director and CFO, as well as her whole team kind of for their efforts in working through this and identifying ways that we can cut funds, contribute to the budget balancing, while really limiting impacts on our staff, our programs, our stakeholders and constituents that rely on those. So I'm going to end there for today. And again, there'll be some additional materials that we'll send to you and the follow-up email to this, including all of the SMART Act presentation materials from today. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Jordan.
Thanks.
All right, moving on here to the
Um,
regional assistant. Go ahead, Amara.
Simon,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
real quick, we did have a question come through
Okay,
that Kate
thank
is
you.
going to answer for us.
Okay,
Yeah, thanks, Amira. So I believe this is a question from a member of the public just asking about if the commission, and I think thereby the department, has any priorities around crop rotation, carbon sequestration, biodiversity, pollinators. So I just wanted to address this, just given what a priority those issues are for us as a department and a commission. So for those of you unfamiliar with our conservation division, you just met our new division director, Evan Cavanis. We have everything from our state soil health program to agricultural renewable energy and energy efficiency grants. We do focus on pollinators, and we'll be doing more of that work around pollinator health and biodiversity within our conservation team. We work a lot with local governments on noxious weeds. So just really encourage folks out there to connect with our conservation division, who is doing a lot of work on those issues that you brought up. So thanks for raising that, Amira.
Thank you, Commissioner Kate. Back to you, Simon. Thanks so
all
much.
right. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Amira. Regional Assistant Commissioner updates. I'll just start here with Riley. May, are you on?
Yeah, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes, Riley.
Well, thank you, everybody. It's been a great meeting so far. I've got a few updates. I will be traveling to Alamosa this next Wednesday and Thursday, I believe, for a Habitat Partnership Program. I'm on the state council with them, so I'll have my ear to the ground there with some local producers and see if anything's going on and be advocating for CDA there as well. Although that's a position I had before this job, I believe they coincide. Then after that, I will be going to Water Congress the 30th, as I've said, to be on the How to Speak with an Irrigator panel with Robert Sakata and Paul K. Meyer. And Elena is on there as well with me. Then after that, I have something else. So the Low Proco local food workshop in Pueblo that I will be attending with Nick, and I believe that's February 23rd. Those are all just kind of upcoming events I have as we speak. I'm actually all day and most of this week so far, I've been reaching out to producers in the southeast corner of the state, specifically because there is a new proposed power line corridor that's coming through our area. And I just want to understand what producers' opinions are on that as far as landowners that will be affected by it, and how as us as CDA can support them and represent them. So that's going on right now. I'm actually on a listening session with it at this time as well. I just want to be on the forefront of that so we know, or so I know how to represent the producers to you guys, and we can go from there. So those are just all a lot of small things going on. I was considering going to the stock show, but I don't think it's the best use of the state's resources to send me up there, just because the timing of everything else, there's not a lot of benefit I could do there. So I don't think I'll do that, but that's all I've got, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you, Riley. Next, Nick. Okay, Joe Stenko, are you available? Okay, George.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, George. Hello.
Good. Yeah, it's good to see your faces and you know, it's been a while since I've seen all of you, so it's always nice. Things around here are pretty quiet, I guess, in a lot of ways, but there's also always a lot going on. Where our soil health group is meeting every other week and has been all fall and through the winter, and we've got some kind of really exciting and interesting projects coming up this next spring, I think, with some includes some state land that's been some circles that were dried up, and so revegetation of those circles is a a thing we're working on together. There's about 8 of us, I guess, in a group, including CSU and some private crop consultants and other people that are interested in revegetation of dried up farmland and how to proceed with that. There's going to be a lot more of that in the San Luis Valley here in the next coming years. And so we're working on that pretty diligently. Been to a couple of wolf hearings, one in Gunnison most recently, right before the end of the year. And the mood among producers is really, I don't know exactly, it's really, there's not a lot of trust, I don't think, in the whole process among ranchers in general. And I find it to be little bit of loss of trust in both the CPW and not so much CDA. I think they see CDA, at least they've been very appreciative of my presence there. But I don't get a real warm and fuzzy feeling generally from the ranching community around, and that this wolf issue is really runs deep, and it has, as you know, all along been a real divisive thing. And so the work that CDA is doing is all helpful and good, but overall, I just don't feel like people have a lot of trust in the whole system. So I think that's really it for me, other than there's always water stuff going on in the San Luis Valley. I've got a meeting right after this one with Subdistrict 5, and there's been some changes in the way that the model predicts impacts primarily to Saguache Creek on the north end, and that's caused a lot more demand for water out of Saguache Creek where there already isn't any. So it's kind of a complicated thing, and raising the price, obviously it comes down to money in the end. And so that's been a lot of what's going on around in the water world, and waiting for a couple of big trials to happen. And that won't happen until 2026. So everybody right now just kind of holding their breath and seeing what they can do individually. And so I think that's it for me. Thanks. Questions?
Thank you, George. Any questions for George or Riley? Or comments? Okay, thank you, George. Moving forward on the discussion of CDA's priorities, I know this ties back into the strategic action plan that Hollis gave earlier. A lot going on. I don't know if there's anything that any of the commissioners or Kate or anybody wants to add to the CDA priority list.
Simon, just one comment, if I may. Would just encourage each of you, if you haven't yet, to spend some time with the strategic plan and with the dashboard. Just become familiar with it, and click on boxes that you can expand, click on our after action reports. We're really trying to communicate impact so that as we move forward, we can ask ourselves, is this worth continuing? It's really important for us, not just in a tight budget year, but just as stewards of taxpayer dollars, to be constantly asking, is this having a benefit on the ground that's worth putting this money behind? So that's also part of why we've built the strategic plan in the way that we have, is to understand, should this impact, is this impact big enough to be carried out for a longer period of time? So please do get familiar with it. Reach out if you have questions. Don't want to stifle a conversation here, but just wanted to encourage that.
Okay, thank you, Kate. That's something we can definitely do. All right, moving on outreach opportunities. Bethany.
Hi, everyone. So I'll jump onto what Kate just said about priorities and looking at the strategic plan. First of all, again, last year was really great. It was wonderful to be able to plan public engagement with you guys and to get to spend some time in so many different areas of the state and be very intentional with just showing up and listening and being present. So that's kind of my theme, I guess, for 2025 is where can we show up? Where can we be present? Where can we support not only people who are in our stakeholder community, farmers and ranchers and others, but also our CDA staff who are going to be, and already are hitting the ground running and going in lots of different directions. So we do have, as always, our tracker, and I try to send that out to everybody as much as I can to let you know about some of the bigger meetings that are happening. So obviously we've got National Western Stock Show that's happening right now. If you are up there, try to swing by the CDA booth. We have one in the CAMS classroom area, which is in the Hall of Education. And so you might be able to catch a CDA staff person there. And then we have just lots of things happening around the state. Western Colorado Soil Health and Food Forum will have several CDA staff present and presenting. And then, of course, Colorado Farm Show is another really big one in Greeley. If you're interested in looking at the tracking spreadsheet, there is a special link in that column or that row where I pulled out all of the CDA staff who are presenting or being part of discussion. So you can kind of see at a glance where CDA's presence will be at the farm show. And we also have a booth there, and we'll have staff from different programs who are manning that. So if you're in Greeley anytime, January 28th through 30th, please stop by and say hi to whoever is at the booth and see if you can hop into one of the many places that CDA has staff that will be working in. So there's just a lot going on. I want to start thinking through public engagement again. I know I've brought this up before. And so just want to kind of gauge your interest in me creating some type of flexible planning document that you can then weigh in on. I think that's easier sometimes than asking people to just give me all your ideas, because then people get a little bit like, oh my goodness, I don't know, what should I be thinking about? So I think if I create some type of outline, which again, huge emphasis on flexible, so that you guys can take a look at it. I have some thoughts around, engaging more with CDA staff and the different events that they're going to be hosting, our different work groups and advisory groups that do a lot of the work of CDA kind of behind the scenes, that it would be great to see if we could get a little bit more engagement with. And then any place that you guys are going where we might be able to offer something to the public, maybe put something out in one of our newsletters or something about, hey, if you're going to this event, let's say the Rocky Mountain Ag Forum in Monte Vista is a great example. If any of you guys are going to be around there, Jeff, Elena, George, and you want to have a little bit of time to say like, hey, let's meet with some members of the public intentionally, like maybe we can build something into those types of events. So those are just some thoughts from my head. Would love to get your feedback on if any of those resonate with you. So that's my proposal, is to put together an outline and send that to you guys and get your feedback. And then we can just keep moving and chugging forward with all the things that, 2025 is going to be, such a slow year. We should just really pack it full, I think. Totally tongue in cheek. So. But yeah, I appreciate all the hard work that you guys already do in your corners of the state. Just want to help maximize that. And that's all I have for outreach, I believe.
Okay. Thank you, Bethany. I guess moving forward, it looks like we're going to have a small break here. If we can all just try to return back at about 1:36, and that'll give us a 5-minute break. All right, thank you. See you in a little bit. Okay, I think everybody back on line, Kate. Okay. Moving forward, we're gonna go to the rules pertaining to the administration and enforcement of the Colorado Noxious Weed Act. Patty?
Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Patty York. I'm the Noxious Weed Program Manager. And I'm here today to present the rules pertaining to the administration and enforcement of the Colorado Noxious Weed Act for your preview. And I will bring the rules back at the March meeting for your recommendation. We have scheduled and filed a public hearing with DORA that will occur virtually on Friday, February 14th at 11 a.m. And if we receive any comments at that meeting, we will take them into consideration and present those to you at the March meeting as well. So the administrative rules pertaining to the Noxious Weed Act are in place to designate the official noxious weed list and to categorize the priority and describe the statewide management plan for each species on our noxious weed list. The rules basically are statewide management plan for noxious weeds. So the act states that the commissioner shall review and revise as necessary the state noxious weed list at least once every 3 years. We tend to do this review and revision of the rules every 2 years so that we can update a handful of our List B management plans on a rotating schedule. List B management plans are determined according to regional distribution in the state, and they're set by the county weed managers. We have almost 40 species on List B, so we wouldn't want to burden the counties and do them all at once, which is why we do them on a rotating schedule. This year, the edits we made to the rule include the following. We added Ventonata grass, Ventonata dubia, to List A. We updated the management plans for 9 List B species according to the rotation schedule, along with 3 additional species that counties wanted to move from a lower management strategy to countywide elimination. In Part 2.1, we defined the term approved by the commissioner and clarified the difference between requests for additional management techniques versus requests for compliance waivers. And finally, in Part 1.3, we updated the definition of compliance waiver. So regarding the decision to add Ventonata to List A, this species has been on our watch list for a number of years. And this year we received a positive report of the species in Wyoming, about 110 miles from our northern border. We've discussed this species at length with other Western states and that currently have infestations, and we can affirmatively say that this species presents a risk to the state of Colorado. It is a winter annual similar to cheatgrass, meaning it germinates early in the season, allowing it to readily exclude desired native species, and it has been found to reduce available forage for livestock by up to 70%. Also similar to cheatgrass, it can increase wildfire intensity and frequency because it dries out so early in the season and acts as a fine fuel, and it's also a prolific seeder. We sent a survey out to our newsletter recipients, which includes over 700 people, and we received 40 responses. 92% of the respondents said we should add Ventonata to List A. This would be a preventative listing, meaning that we do not think we have Ventonata in the state yet. And we've had success in the past with preventative listings. A specific example is flowering rush, which I believe we added in 2016. Adding that species to the list provided the identification and management information needed for a county weed manager in Mesa County to actually identify and eradicate 5 plants in a tributary to the Colorado River, keeping this highly invasive species from invading the Colorado River system. We hope the same strategy will help with early detection and rapid response of Ventonata when it inevitably arrives in our state. Hopefully not, but I think it probably will. So you'll find that Ventonata has been added to List A in Parts 3.1 and 3.6.27 of the rule. Regarding the update to List B management plans, our early detection and rapid response specialists put out a call for counties and municipalities to report infestation data into our online mapping system over a year before the data was due. She then analyzed the data and discussed the rotational species with each county and updated their plans accordingly. Most counties decided to keep the plan that was already in place for those species. Some counties moved their species to countywide suppression from containment, and some changed the boundaries of their containment area. You will find those updates described in Part 4.8, and those will come eventually with maps that we'll have on our website. In addition, we offered a one-time management upgrade to all counties for anyone wanting to move any of their List B species from a lower management strategy to countywide elimination. 2 counties took advantage of this offer and updated their plans for leafy spurge, oxeye daisy, and spotted knapweed to countywide elimination. And those updates are also included in part 4.8. And finally, regarding the corrections made in parts 2.1 and 1.3, we received an inquiry into these sections of the rule early last year. And I worked with Brenna to make those updates to clarify these sections to address the confusion that was apparent in that inquiry. So those are all the updates that we have at this time. Are there any questions?
All right, seeing none, Patty, we'll move on to the next item on the Noxious Weed Advisory Committee 2025 appointee confirmation.
Great. Okay, thank you. So the second item on the Noxious Weed Program agenda for today is the appointment of new members to our advisory committee. The noxious, and you should have received a memo. It's a 4-page memo with most of that, with all the information in there. But to summarize, the Noxious Weed Act creates the Noxious Weed Advisory Committee as a committee consisting of 17 total members, 15 of whom are voting members and who are appointed by the commissioner. Each year we have 3 to 6 members rotate off the committee and we must fill those positions. And this year we have 4 open positions, 1 agricultural producer, 1 resource or industry specialist, and 2 at-large positions. So I'm here today to present those committee appointments to the commission for recommendation for approval by Commissioner Greenberg. The statute defines the makeup of the committee along with assigning tasks, and those are detailed on page 1 of your memo. At our final committee meeting of 2024, which occurred in early November, I confirmed the vacant positions. I then created an application form and distributed that form via our newsletter that goes out to over 700 people, along with a press release that was sent out later in November. Applications were due on Friday, December 20th, and we received 14 applications for the 4 open positions. Applicants were all extremely qualified, and we were very excited to see so much interest in our committee, but it did make the choices very difficult. So I reviewed the applications carefully and developed initial recommendations according to applicants' background, expertise, and geographic location. And then David Bloch helped me review the applications over the holidays. Thank you so much, David, for your help with that. And we agreed to the recommendations presented in the memo. So on page 3 of your memo, you will find a map of the 2025 current committee member distribution, and then the applicant locations color-coded according to the legend, and then the recommended appointees are circled. So you can see that there's kind of a wide distribution of the recommendations. And then just to review our recommendations for the agricultural producers, we had 3 applications and 1 open position. We're recommending Ann Gebauer. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, but I will find out once I hopefully get her on the committee, from Grover, Colorado. She has an extensive background in farming and ranching, and she lives in northeastern Colorado representing the Plains community. I'm hoping also that her location close to the northern border will add extra eyes to the ground when it comes to the potential introduction of Ventonata grass. And Anne is also the first female ag producer that we've had apply in recent years, so she would add a diverse perspective within that category. For resource and industry specialist, we had 4 applications and 1 open position. We are recommending Wesley Collins from Rifle due to his experience in his current work in geographic information systems, along with his background in botany and plant ecology. Our program actually received a grant to hire a 2-year mapping and data specialist, which we're hoping to hire soon. And Wesley's experience in this technology will be timely in helping that person understand some of the more complicated aspects of mapping and modeling noxious weeds. Wesley also lives in Rifle, which helps us get more perspective from the West Slope. And then finally, for the at-large positions, we had 7 applications and 2 open positions. Our first recommendation is for Catherine Moravec from Colorado Springs, due to her knowledge and experience in water conservation, her employment with a utility, and her location in the Springs. Our program is discussing creating best management practices around working with utilities, and we believe Catherine could provide useful insight for these best management practices. And Colorado Springs, as Catherine mentions in her application, is our largest municipality in the state that does not have an active noxious weed program. And their lack of having a program puts strain on the surrounding communities. We hope that by adding someone representative of Colorado Springs to the committee, that it can bring a sense of importance to that municipality regarding creating a noxious weed management program. And then our second at-large position recommendation is for Ethan Proud from Pagosa Springs. Due to his experience in weed management, willingness to participate in relevant noxious weed associations, his location in Archuleta County within the San Juan Mountains, and the fact that his county's municipal code helped pave the way for updates to the Noxious Weed Act this past year. Ethan has worked closely with our program for many years. He's always been willing to brainstorm ideas, and he brings great insight into the conversation. So we think Ethan would make a valuable contribution to the committee and help bring in another voice to a more underrepresented area of the state, which is the West Slope and Southwestern Colorado specifically. So those are our recommendations. And I guess today I'm hoping that the commission will recommend that Commissioner Greenberg approves these recommendations, and we will have 4 new members of our committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Evan, do you have anything also to add prior to us moving forward?
Can you hear me?
Yes, David.
Okay. Hey, yes, very diverse group. I was really impressed with the diversity, and it was great to have a lot of applicants to choose from, I thought. And otherwise, Patty covered everything there over the course of it, and I would highly agree with her recommendations also.
Thank you, David, and the help you added for the review of the applicants. Any discussion needed before the vote? Okay, seeing none, I would like to open this for a motion for the 2025 appointee confirmation for Kate.
Hi, Simon. This is Roberto. I move that the commission recommend to the Commissioner of Agriculture to confirm these applicants to the Noxious Weed Advisory Committee.
This is Catherine. I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Catherine. As these two were made, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, moving forward on the rules and regulations pertaining to the Colorado Seed Potato Act 8 CCR 1203-22. 100. And I probably might be saying that wrong, but I've met you and I know you.
You pronounce it right. Good afternoon, commissioners. I'm sorry, I'm in the car, and I hope that technology will not be work against me while I cover. My name is Wandrad Gabru. I'm a division director for plant industry, and then I am here to present the summary of the rules and regulations pertaining to the Colorado Seed Potato Act, CCR 1203-22. The Seed Potato Act, Colorado Revised Statute 3527.3 was enacted in 2010, and the rule was subsequently adopted in June 2011, and then was effective since 2012. The act is intended to control and minimize the spread of contagious community disease by reducing reducing the overall inoculum pool present in the potato crops. The article and rule is intended to comply with the seed potato standards set forth in the state National Harmonization Plan and developed in collaboration with the APHIS, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, the Plant Protection Quarantine, and the National Plant Board. During the past few years, the Colorado Potato Administrative Committee, CPAC, CSU, and the CADA have observed an ever-increasing potato virus wave prevalence in the seed potato as well as commercial potato production in the San Luis Valley. Plant bug is primarily determined to be the major source of the PVY infection, and there was a need to have an intervention in order to minimize the further spread. During the legislative session last year, 2024, the Senate Bill 24-137 was signed into law and to help address this particular gap. The main purpose of the proposed amendment is, number one, to clean up the rule and then delete some obsolete provisions. And the other main important is amend Part 3 to establish sampling, testing, and then approval requirements applicable to uncertified seed potatoes grown and stored as part of the grower farming operation that are more than one generation removed from certified or qualified parent potatoes, which are considered and called uncertified seed potatoes that are no more than one generation removed from certification. By the Act, Colorado, if a farmer is to plant more than 1 acre of land, they have to use, or they are required to use, certified seed. And there was a provision that a farmer can use for one generation uncertified seed potatoes that are considered as main pathway. The other change that's also proposed in the rule is amend Part 3 and establish new sampling, testing, and evaluation and reporting requirements that will result in an annual standard of potato virus Y. And therefore, the new rule will have an annual standard that will be established by in collaboration with the Seed Potato Advisory Committee, and then that includes growers, seed growers, and then CPAC, and based on the recommendation of the CSU and the prevalent PVY also threshold that's existing in the previous crop. Therefore, based on that, there will be annual standards that will be established, and then that will be applied to all uncertified seed potatoes planted under the Act. The other amendment is amend Part 4 to clarify standards of uncertified potato planted under the Act. This also will cover, in addition to the PVY, also other standards that are already covered by the Act and then by the CSU seed testing standards. The other amendment is amend Part 5 to clarify the percentage of growers to be audited because of the increased number of farmers or the lots that need to be tested and that are also previously used to be exempted. There will be added percentage of seed potato to be sampled and audited, sampled and then audited. And therefore, it may be more than 10%. Previously, it was 10%, but now we modified up. It could be more than 10%. Therefore, this is just an amendment. It will be at least now. The other amendment in Part 4 is to clarify testing requirements for potatoes subject to an exemption, which was previously 400 tumor samples to be collected samples. And now, because of the CSU have confirmed that 200 sample size is enough with a high PVI standard, and therefore that will also reduce the burden on storage, and that will also even relieve the burden on the farmers. And therefore, we have agreed, based on the technical recommendation, to change it from 400 tumor sample to 200 tumor sample. The Part 8 is to update hourly inspection fee, which is to make it more consistent within the fruit and veg inspection fee. Therefore, that is basically cross-referenced here in the Seed Potato Act as well. The last one that is changed is basically to clean up and then has numeric references and the topographical corrections, otherwise no substantial change. During the rulemaking, without considering the formal rule hearing that we had, we met at least 3 times with stakeholders and then consulted also extensively CPAC, Seed Potato Advisory Committee, and then also CSU, both in the Valley and then virtually in person as well. Based on the feedback and the comments also received during the formal rulemaking hearing, we have made revisions that to the proposed rule, and then it is present here in the packet for your consideration. I would like to thank all, particularly CPAC, the CSU, and the advisory committee, and I want to also in person Jeff, a commission member, who have intensively engaged from the very beginning in consultation and during this process for the contribution engagement. And there were also some concerns. Basically, we clarified the concern, and then also we'll continue the outreach, explaining what the rule means and then how to implement. And then one other remark I would like to make is the implementation period is also extended. It will be implemented during the 2026 planting season because of the need for sample establish the baseline and then also have a standard. With this, I'm very happy to answer any question you might have. Otherwise, I end here for your consideration. Thank you.
Looks like we have a question from Kate.
Yeah, thanks. Just a comment to say thank you to Wandrad and the team, and also to Jeff for working with us on this rule. The team put in a lot of work to listen to folks who have, who will be impacted by the rule and the related legislation. And we were happy to be as nimble as we could while also moving forward with the rule as you see it in front of you today. So just know a lot of work has gone in to get to where we are, and thank you all who helped out along the way.
All right, it looks like Jeff has a question.
Yeah, more of a comment than anything. I'd really like to thank Wandrad and Kate for the amount of time that they spent on this act and listening and engaging with the industry. It was definitely very, very beneficial, and I really think that Wandrad's work really helped push a lot of these necessary changes through. So I just like to thank him and thank Kate for all the hard work that they put into this as well.
All right, Wandrad, thank you, and Kate and Jeff. Is there any other questions or comments as we move forward?
Not that I see, Simon.
Okay, Mara, thank you. Seeing that there's no other discussion, I would like to open this up for a motion.
Yes, Simon, this is Jeffrey McCullough. I would make the motion that finding that these amendments are necessary and proper to carry out the provisions of the Seed Potato Act, I move that the commission approve the amendments to 8 CCR 1203-22.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have a second?
Simon,
Go ahead, Colleen.
Okay, this is Colleen. I second that.
All right. Motion made by Jeff, second by Colleen. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Same sign. Seeing none, motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Moving on to the rules pertaining to the Small Food Business Recovery and Resiliency Tax Credit, 8 CCR 1204 10. Mickey?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Just following up on the progress on our proposed rules. So, just to summarize again, this is the rules regarding the tax credit program for the Community Food Access Program. So, yeah, we had a set of rules, and in our first year, we identified a lot of things that we wanted to change. So, yeah, we set about changing those rules. The gist of the rules are summarized in the statement of basis of purpose. So, yeah, the intent was to better align the program with the legislation, and reduce the possibility of misuse of tax credits, and then also improve some administrative processes to create some more efficiencies. So, specifically, we refined some definitions related to eligible businesses, healthy foods, low income and underserved areas of the state, and also what it means to purchase equipment. The changes to the rule clarify the usage requirements for eligible equipment and also the order in which the department will review and award applications, so that better aligns with the intent of the legislation. Some general categories of equipment were removed or clarified to reduce the risk of awarding tax credits for purchases that don't fully align with the intent of the legislation. And then we also took some time to put a lot more specificity into some general categories of equipment, to reduce confusion. So one example is based on stakeholder feedback, we explicitly included power generators as an eligible piece of equipment. We also made some changes to reduce the number of days that applicants have to submit a complete application after they've submitted an incomplete one. So basically to clean up the work they did, and have it considered. So that's going to reduce complications related to filing taxes and reduce the amount of time that everybody has to wait in order to file their taxes once they get their certificate. The changes we proposed also give more flexibility for the department to publish information about the funds remaining for each year at a time when it's most accurate instead of once per month. So in the time since we filed the rule and before the hearing, 3 new proposed changes surfaced. All of these additional changes were to clarify definitions and improve administrative efficiency. So the first 2 changes were related to the definition of purchase and purchase price. We reworded purchase to better fit with how the term is used throughout the rule. And we reverted our proposed changes to the term purchase price back to the original definition that we had to get it to align with statutory language. We also added a section 4.12 to allow eligible businesses to apply in future years. So this effectively extends the deadline that businesses have to apply by 1 year. So, yeah, that's a summary of the changes proposed. We hosted a public hearing on December 30th. It was attended by, Madison, help me out. It was 9 stakeholders, 8 or 9. We had 1 comment. You can see it in your packet here. It was basically an expression of appreciation. There wasn't any, there weren't any negative comments in that public hearing. After the hearing, we did receive some written comments about the rule. We reviewed all of those suggestions, but determined that those proposals were either contradictory to law, contradictory to the needs of the program, or untimely without further research and consideration, or unnecessary. So nothing really came of those hearings that we think need to be considered with these changes. Anything else, Madison?
No, and Mickey, you were correct. It was 9 individuals who attended.
Any questions or comments for Mickey as we move forward?
Seeing
Okay.
any, Simon.
All right, Amira, thank you. Seeing none, we'll move forward and open this up for a motion with what information Mickey and Madison shared with us.
This is Catherine. I move that finding that these amendments are necessary and proper to carry out the provisions of the Small Food Business Recovery and Resilience Tax Credit, I move that the commission approve the amendments to 8 CCR 1204-10.
Thank you, Catherine. Do we have a second?
This is Roberto, I second.
All right. Motion made by Catherine, second by Roberto. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none, motion carried. Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you, Mickey. Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on to the Bureau of Animal Protection, BAP agent confirmations. Dr. Dill?
Hello, everybody. Is my
Hello.
sound coming through okay?
Yes, it is.
Great. Well, thank you to the Ag Commission for making time in their agenda to host us briefly today. I have 8 new agents to present to the Ag Commission for your approval. One of them being me. I have Joe Stafford here with me, and if you're more comfortable with Joe presenting mine, we can certainly do that. Hopefully the commission has had a chance to review the applications. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. It looks like we have 5 agents coming in from the Humane Society of the Pikes Peak region, which is in El Paso and Pueblo counties. And the remainder are coming in mostly from the Front Range, although we do have one in Yuma County, which is exciting to see. We're trying to expand our presence further back into some of our more remote counties. If there are no questions for me, I will turn this back over to the Ag Commission for consideration.
I'm not seeing any questions on my end.
Simon, I think you're still on mute.
I was. Thank you, Kate. All right, Dr. Deal, thank you. Is there any questions or comments prior to the vote moving forward? All right, seeing none, if we can move forward on opening this up for a motion.
Simon, this is Jeff McCullough. I move that the commission recommend to the Commissioner of Agriculture appointment of the applicants presented and recommended by Dr. Dell to become Bureau of Animal Protection agents.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second?
This is Catherine. I'll second.
Thank you, Catherine. Second made by Catherine. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, seeing none, motion carried. Thank you, Dr. Dill. Madison,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Okay, Amira, it looks like we've taken care of the items. And we're gonna move into updated the commission member updates. If I have any volunteers.
And just real quick, Simon, I did have just a note to share with the commission that the Ag Commission schedule was updated and that was shared in our packet. And we did proceed with moving the March meeting to the 19th. So just wanted to flag that for the commission.
All right, thank you. I did see that from 9 to 3 down in Southwest Colorado.
Correct, yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna work down the line here. I'm gonna start Jeff, if you would, with your update, and we'll continue.
Yeah, thank you, Simon. George hit about all my highlights that I was going to talk about. As far as potatoes go, prices are very similar. On the upside, the January 1 inventories nationwide were down a little bit from what they were anticipated to be. So I would hope to see a little uptick in the potato market here going forward from now until the end of the season, which is really nice. We could sure use a little bit of uptick in the market right now. And then just water being a big concern. We're very dry here in the Rio Grande Basin. We're somewhere around the 73% of normal mark, which definitely has a lot of people concerned with the long-term forecast being warmer and drier than average. So definitely concerning among the producers here. Yeah, just looking forward to the Southern Rocky Mountain Ag Conference here the first week of February, and looking forward to seeing some people from the CDA and a lot of community members. So yeah, just pretty slow here in the Valley at the moment.
All right, thank you, Jeff. The update. Catherine.
Sure.
Thank you.
Not a lot to report here. Cattle prices are still really good. There's been a lot of feeder cattle moving through the sale barns here. Big lots mostly now. Let's see. We haven't gotten a lot of precipitation, but the mountains have been getting plenty, so we're not worried about irrigation water at this point. I think the Colorado River Basin is right around 100% of normal at this time. Not a lot else going on. Everybody is again thinking about the wolves and the new release, as we've already talked about. I am working on with the Western Landowners Alliance, one of the regional conservation partnership programs. We're going to layer that on collaring cattle and getting range rider, and I've worked with one of the virtual fence systems to adjust the collars a little bit to give us more information when the cattle are rapidly moving. And so we'll see how this all comes together, and we're going to collect data, and we'll be writing papers and presenting what we discover with our own work on mitigating wolf depredations in our area. So, and that's up in the Kremling area. And that's about it for me.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. David.
Catherine, I got a quick question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Catherine, so the motion detector on the collar emits a sound. Is that, you kind of gave us a little update on it last meeting, but
yeah. So we've asked the collar company to add a accelerometer in there on the collar, which would report back to either the range rider or the owner. And so we'll get time, and then they can decide whether to turn on the noise and the lights that are already on the collar to try and protect them while the range rider gets out there, now being notified that something's going on with the cattle. So we're hoping there's a little bit of discussion about whether the lights and the sound should come automatically or whether it should be triggered by someone, because we can do it by AI too. So,
And Catherine, so just a percentage of the herd would have those collars on it, or would you need?
no, all the adult cattle would have the collars.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, keep
We'll
us
let you know.
updated.
Thanks.
Thank you, Catherine. Nick, you want to go ahead and move us forward?
Sure. Sure.
Thank you, Nick.
Not much going on around here. Obviously, stock shows in going strong, and in true stock show time of year, it's freezing cold out and gonna get a lot colder. Everybody's kind of scrambling around here trying to get everything buttoned up for what they're calling for like negative 16-degree temps this weekend. So we're gonna find out what we forgot to winterize here in a couple of weeks. So other than that, got a little bit of snow on the ground here. You know, very hopeful that we can carry some of the moisture that we got this fall through to the spring. Watching a lot of forecast models that are showing we're possibly going to go into a neutral phase, which is good for some parts of the state, not good for other parts, but praying that La Nina doesn't. I'll just echo the cattle prices are absolutely amazing. I think everybody just a little anxious about what that next black swan is that's going to collapse the market. But for the time being, everybody's enjoying some pretty amazing cattle prices. Other than that, I think that's all I've got.
Thank you, Nick.
Oh, I do have a question. Oh, wait a minute, Simon. I forgot one thing. The on the ag stewardship tax credit, or the regenerative tax credit, I got some notifications that there's some listening sessions. Kate, could you give it just a real quick how all that's going to work, and what kind of, are we going to have some opportunity to provide input on how all the rulemaking and stuff is going to go with that, or?
Yep.
Just
Yeah,
or maybe
absolutely.
I
Thanks,
missed that.
Nick. No, you didn't miss that. I think we just didn't update you earlier. So thanks for bringing that up. I'll see if Hollis has any dates that I should know that I can report back to you guys. Right now, the team is doing informal outreach, and it's being led by Kristen Boyson on Evan's team in conservation. So Kristen is the person to talk to, just to give your ideas. And then when we start the formal rulemaking, which I think it is starting in February, where we're having our first hearing, and we'll follow up with you guys and make sure you have all those dates. But just know the formal rulemaking is coming up, and that's an important time to get things on the record. So right now is like a great time to have back and forth dialogue with Kristen, with myself, with the team, but then making sure that, you know, folks who are interested attend the rulemaking hearing to be able to put what they want on the record. And then, of course, you all will be briefed and we'll get that timeline to you. But just like we do 2 months prior to you voting on a rule, you'll get our initial draft briefing. I don't know if Madison, if you know when that's when we're planning to do that.
I do, actually. That's great. And so we are anticipating bringing you the draft rule at the March meeting, which means that we are looking at a timeline for the rulemaking hearing to happen during the month of April. And then we will be bringing this back to the Ag Commission for the final review and potential approval at the May meeting as well. So that's the rough timeline.
Thanks, Madison. That good, Nick? Anything else?
Yeah.
You need?
No, thank you. That's perfect.
Great.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Kate. Any other commissioners want to jump in with their updates?
I'll jump in. This is Roberto. Yeah, I don't have a ton to update, but I do want to share just a few things. I had a really great site visit with Amy Despierre from Alliance, the Alliance Center, and Anthony Zamora, our soil health specialist out on our farm a few weeks ago. And, looking at, as one of the participants in the Star Plus program, kind of how the program has been working for some of the smaller scale participants. And we're kind of the guinea pigs in that cohort. And they're just an amazing team to kind of exchange some knowledge on what specific is working in our context and kind of the practices that we're innovating. And it's just really great to feel a part of the CDA Soil Health Initiative, even if we're operating at a much smaller scale, just to be part of the conversation, to kind of showcase what we're doing within the limits of our farm as well. So that was really great, and it's great to kind of see that outreach happening in other regions. Also related to soil health, we are a partner on a climate smart commodities program with Wolf's Neck and Zero Footprint. And we're working with about 45,000 through the Food Hub that we're contributing, matched by the USDA for another 45,000. And we're going to be looking at producers in our supply chain that will benefit from some of that additional funding and support. And we're excited to work with Wolf's Neck as the grant partner to identify those producers, provide them technical assistance, and move the project forward. I just think it's a really amazing opportunity that, again, at our scale, like, we can at least help those producers out and create a cohesive ecosystem of support. Yesterday, I got a chance to talk at the Hispanic Restaurant Association Summit, La Cumbre, and I saw Barb Howe there and Roy Pfalzgraf, and it was awesome to have this conversation around regenerative agriculture and innovations in the culinary industry, and having a presence for CDA there. I was really surprised to see Barb there. That was really cool, and it's just another good space to have these kind of inter-sector conversations to see how everything fits in our region. I think it just brings a sense of community across the supply chain. And then coming up at the end of the month is the Mile High Farmer Producer Summit, which we've been keeping going since 2018, I think was the first one. And it's always a great opportunity to bring in producers from Metro Denver and see how the conversation has evolved since our first producer summit. It's really great to see just more and more supporters and partners and new farmers coming into the conversation. And it's going to be at the CSU Spur, so we're excited to be in that space and continue the conversation. I'll update the commission what comes out of that summit as we go through it. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto.
Simon, this is Colleen. I'll be happy to go next.
Thanks, Colleen.
Like everybody, not a whole lot to report around here. Some farmers do have their wheat in storage, and so we all would like to see the price of wheat go up before we start selling it. We did find out that our local Coors elevator was sold, but was sold to an independent buyer. And so we're waiting to see what transpires with all of that. I have been given an opportunity. I'm tossing around the idea to go on an ag tour in Korea the end of March. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah. And Friday I will be at the stock show at the Spur, serving on a panel and the topic we're presenting to the Colorado Ag Leadership Program, and the topic is going to be serving on boards and the importance of being involved with what you do. Highland Ditch annual meeting is in February. And then I'll be also going over and helping at the farm show with the Ag in the Classroom. So it's good to see you all. And I think That's all I have for today.
Thanks, Colleen. David, are you on?
David might still be on mute unless he's busy.
Okay. We can come back to him. Elena?
Yeah, hey everyone. I don't know. My connectivity all this meeting has been in and out. So I don't know if I'm just gonna not put the video. It's just gonna make life easier. Yeah, life is good. Again, just like Jeff said, it's pretty dry here. So we're just hoping that something will happen. The oh well, I don't have a lot of updates other than just the usual working on stuff. The Congreso de Acequias is March 8th. And so that'll be a really great time to, if anyone's in the area, to come to just represent the CDA. I'll be there. I'm on the board, so I'll be working on that. And then hopefully it'll be a great opportunity. I think this year the Congreso is going to be a little bit more like community. So trying to bring more people to talk about what they're doing and stuff like that. And there's always such wonderful things happening at the Congreso. So happy to be a part. I'm really excited to be kind of like, I'm not really starting this project, but I guess partnering with this project. There's some really cool people coming through CSU Extension that are really trying to look at maybe putting up more wool processing in the San Luis Valley. So I'm just happy to be a part, and I'm hoping to see that be a possibility, because it'd be really cool to see, there's all these amazing sheep producers in the area, and a lot of the time they don't have a market for their wool. And so it would be curious to see like how we can come up with that. There's some really cool movements happening in California, like the Fiber Shed movement, where they've been able to like actually make wearable, buyable apparel that is all sourced within certain miles of the Bay Area. And so I think it'd be really cool to see Colorado, because I did not realize this, but Colorado is third top producer of wool in the United States. So we're a huge wool producer, and there's just not a lot of outlets. So it would be really neat to see that kind of be something. And then Kate, I did want to ask you about one thing that kind of came out of one of those meetings, was to be able to maybe extend the Colorado Proud label to things like locally made apparel. And I don't know if that's already in existence, but that was just one of the suggestions. And I agreed to bring that to the commission, because I was just hoping that, I think that falls in really nicely. It is an ag product. And there are some companies, although not the ones you'd expect, that are making, apparel from like agriculturally produced products from Colorado. So that was one thing that came out of those meetings that they had asked me to bring to the CDA. And I don't know if you want to respond now or if you heard me, but other than that, that's it. Yeah. Okay.
Happy to respond now.
Okay, great. My video is not working, so I just can't see any.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Faces, so yeah.
Yeah, so Colorado Proud right now is grown, raised, or processed in Colorado. So I think what you're talking about would already be eligible, but that's not to say that those businesses know that they might be eligible for Colorado Proud. So part of what you'll see in our strategic plan is actually digging into what's possible with Colorado Proud and really scaling up, diversifying, and reaching new communities. So that I think fits right in with what the team is going to be working on in the coming months.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm not like, obviously I don't know every fiber person, but maybe through some of this work, I can help you connect to who those people are. And I mean, I don't know if anyone like industrial, I know there's just like a lot of very small producers, but I just don't know. There's a couple companies I can think of that are doing like full, like basically like that production all the way to usable product. And so, yeah, so that would be cool. So thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I will tell them that, because I don't think there's that awareness that they can be using the label on their products. So I will definitely make sure that people do know that.
And Elena, we'll connect you with our Colorado Proud team, and then feel free to, hand those contacts over to the folks you've been working with too.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yeah, that's all I have. Oh, I did have a small, very soft launch, because I do not like to do things in big production, but I'm really excited about this. I've been selling just product directly off the farm, and it's so nice because I don't have to go to shows. I don't have to go to fairs. And so, will be selling. It's kind of like I call it a little tiendita. It's like a little grocery store on the farm, and it's been really fun. So that's we launched that last weekend, and it was fun to see people come out and buy local meat, and it's just all local products from our community. So it's really fun to have people out on the farm, even if I am embarrassed because I'm like, the corrals smell, there's messes everywhere. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. That's part of the experience, right? People need to see the real thing.
Thank you, Elena. I guess I'll go and then we'll see if we can get moving forward here. I wish I had something different to say that moisture was different down here in Southwest Colorado. It's the same. It's dry. We've got some moisture in the high country, but we're able to continue. We're fertilizing our wheat right now and ramping up on our servicing of our tractors and implements. And cattle, they're settled in. We'll, believe it or not, start having calves hit the ground here in a few weeks. So that'll be an ongoing thing here for 4 to 6 weeks. On the loading end, we're loading wheat out pretty regular of what we have, what we harvested. Our alfalfa is going out on a steady pace right now, which is good for us for revenue. Probably anywhere from 5 to 10 semis a day for now, probably for the remainder of January, February, March, and April. Irrigation, they're out doing their winter maintenance, and then they'll get started here shortly on all the gearboxes and tire pressures and collector rings and everything that they do through the winter months to get ready. I think right now we're at maybe 40 to 50% of our water allocation, but there's still some time left on the clock before we really need to know where our water is here come March. I don't have a real good update on the grants right now that we're looking at receiving for some of the ongoing projects for pivots and grain bins and some isolation valves, sexualization valves, and the Red Arrow regulatory reservoir we're looking at putting in on the end of Reach 3 Canal. So in March, I'll have a better idea and be able to give an update on where we're at on being able to get some of these projects moving forward. Bow and Arrow, they're still sending product to existing customers and new customers that are coming along right now. And we did, and I said earlier, we had a decent harvest on our white and our blue non-GMO corn. So we're able to find new customers. The old customers we had 4 years ago, they've got other suppliers right now, but it's always an ongoing. Yellow doesn't seem to be a problem with the non-GMO, but the blue is still a little bit more used in different areas, and the white is harder to sell because of its use. But we're gonna work on that as we move forward. And I know we don't have a meeting next month. Will be so we'll move into March on that one. But that's kind of what we've got going. I hope to make it to Colorado Water Congress. Hadn't been in a couple of years. Be nice to go and see some of the programs that are being offered and the forums. So I might be able to see some of you there here in a short time frame. And that's about it. Is David on? Did anybody see David?
Hey, Simon, can you hear me now?
Yes, David, sure can.
Okay, good, good. For some reason, I had 4 different mute buttons on my screen and I couldn't find the right one there for a while, so apologize for that. Yeah, things are going. Want to wish everybody a Happy New Year as well. We're very fortunate out here in Eastern Colorado to have gotten that rain and snow right before, I believe that was right before Thanksgiving, because that's about all we've had. We've had some skiffs here and there, but that was a real timely moisture event for us, and we were glad to see that. It's been extremely warm until recently. A lot of guys were doing fall work, so a lot of things are prepared for next spring already, believe it or not. Concern out there, as many of you may have heard, on the market side, commodity side, the USDA just released a report here last week, and they lowered several things as far as harvest yields, things like that, which did support our market, and we're glad to see that. However, as a lot of these commercial brokerage guys have said, that it really messed things up for about 60 days here or so, or it took USDA 60 days longer than normal or something like that to come out with this report. And it did have a big effect on several companies, et cetera. And also it took that long to see the rise in the commodity prices. Looking forward, so corn price has come back a little bit. That's with the cattle markets being so well in prices, as Catherine and Nick have all said, and yourself, Simon, it's been great in that regard. It seems like every week we're breaking records again. I think that's what we were saying on the last call. It's just unreal. Matter of fact, a lot of people are starting to hedge some of their cattle for next year, and that's a good thing. But they're also getting margin calls because the market just keeps going up and up, which is good. Starting to get into a lot of these New Year commodity organization meetings. For example, Western Sugar Co-op's having their annual meeting tomorrow up in Fort Collins. I'll be trying to get to that about the middle of February. Colorado Sugar Beet Growers will be having theirs. And then also American Sugar Beet Growers Association's having their annual convention in San Diego here the first week of February, and hoping to get up to Stock Show next week, because my granddaughter will be up there with several projects, and then getting up to the farm show as well. Speaking of calving, we must have had some neighbors' bulls get in with some of our cows. We're having some calves awful early, so it's going to be a fun and trying time this weekend here with the cold temperatures coming up. It seemed like there was one other deal, but yeah, I think that's everything there too. So good seeing you all, and looking forward to seeing you in March. Oh yeah, the Ag Forum's next month as well. Try to attend that up in Denver as well. Thank you.
And David, if you can stay for FFA Hall of Fame, I'll be emceeing again this year after the Ag Forum.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I need to look up the registration and start getting registered as well.
Okay, I think that's everybody, Amara. Do we need to have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
This is David. I will move we adjourn.
Thank you, David. Motion made by David. Do we have a second?
This is Roberto. I second.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. Motion made by David, second by Roberto. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Same sign. Seeing none. Motion carries, and meeting has been adjourned at 2:40. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.